States of America. By some, he's been called controversial.
I'll keep my freedom, I'll keep my guns, try to keep my money and my religion too. Now, keep in mind that some of my guests have been approached by Homeland Security or FBI saying, why are you going on the Clay Douglas show?
My message to those guys, if they're listening this morning, is go get a cup of coffee. Maybe you'll learn something.
We both took the same oath, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't recall there being an expiration date on that. I'm going to keep my big BA, keep my friends the same, keep the government out of my business, and y'all can keep the change.
He is the free American, Clay Douglas.
You know what we need, we know who to blame.
Catch the Free American Hour, weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
I'll keep the USA and y'all can keep the change.
For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamerican.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8621.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas. My guest today is Dr. Louis Turi. Hello, Louis, how are you?
I'm doing just fine, Clay. Thank you for having me, my friend.
Well, it's nice to be able to talk to you again. I really enjoyed the time I spent with you, I think, at one of the last preparedness expos that ever was.
And as I said, I'm glad there are people like you. They are doing a good job for this great country because, just in case you do not know, Clay, I arrived from France in the U.S. in 1984. And in 1984, I had only $50 to start my new life, put it this way. And I was lucky enough to raise all the way up and make and enjoy the American dream. But I see all this slowly but surely disappearing right in front of my eyes.
You know, we were trying to warn about what was coming 10 years ago, 15 years ago. You were there when we were doing these expos and warning people about FEMA, what FEMA was planning, what the communist regime, what had happened to a lot of other countries.
Well, basically, when I look back in Europe, back home in France and Spain and even England, I recall the impossibility to do anything. I mean, anything at all. Right now I'm driving a Hummer. I just bought a beautiful Hummer, my second one. And when you look at it, now, look at the price of the gas's gallon. I mean, nearly $4 in Phoenix, Arizona. And that tells you what's going on in California in terms of gas price. Now, first of all, I don't want to go into that, but we could easily do what we have to do with our gas without, relying in any help from the Middle East, first of all. But my point that I'm trying to make is that it is absolutely impossible, if I was in France right now, to own a Hummer, because the gallon of gas in Europe is like $8, because the government is taking 75 to 80% of taxes, and they want to baby you, they want to take care of you. Oh, we're going to take care of you, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. The next thing you know, you are forced to drive a very, very small car. You can never appreciate the beauty and the essence of what America is all about and all its freedom.
You're right about it, and it's absolutely insane to me, because we've got the oil here, we've got the oil in North Dakota, and if that oil belongs to Americans, we ought to be sharing in it, not paying for it, not paying somebody else or allowing somebody else to take it, protecting our own resources and keeping everything clear. It just seems like common sense to me.
And he seems to, like being common sense to me. So maybe we should take Obama's place. What about that? I would do a much better job as a Frenchman to take care of the American. I mean, if a little Frenchman came here in 1984 with $80 in his pocket and managed to make the American dream, okay, if it was because of the essence of what America is promising and freedom. It is not because what's going on in Europe or this current administration that is killing this country. It pisses me off, okay, because I see all that I've been working for and all that belongs to every American, all that I'm enjoying slowly but surely going through my fingers. And
we've got over 1 million Americans in this country that have lost their homes. And they lost their homes because they lost their jobs. Their economy is being controlled from outside sources.
Yeah.
And we've got we've got the global government of the banksters. It seems to me that all of the problems from World War II and all points to the bankers wanting to finance both sides of the situation.
Clay, it's all greed. Let me remind you and your audience what I do. I am an hypnotherapist, clinical hypnotherapist, and I'm also an astropsychologist, and I deal with the stars to read the future, to see what is happening to the world at large and also on a personal level. This is what I do. My website gets 2 million hits a month. I'm all over the world in terms of explaining how those energies are afflicting humanity at large, especially the United States. And back on Coast to Coast in 2007 with George Norrie, I told him, George, be ready for a full restructure of the United States of America. And of course, during those days, nobody really heard me. And when you look at the state of the economy and what's going on, it looks like if I was right in making disquoted predictions, unquoted, because I don't do any form of predictions. I actually use a software, the same type of software that NASA's used to send the shuttle in the universe, I mean, in the stratosphere out there. And I realize that the stars are a little bit more that dead rock hanging above your head for the sake of beauty. That would be a little bit of a problem for some of your listeners who do not have cosmic consciousness or mingle me with a psychic or astrology or things of this nature. So I need to clarify my position. As much as I have a physical answer, I also have spiritual answer. But let's go back to Obama. I can assure you that, okay, that it is very obvious that this president, sad enough, the reality is Mr. Obama is a wimp, okay? Going and apologize because, somebody burns a religious book that is very close to his heart. In fact of the matter is Mr. Obama is more into the Muslim religion than the Christian faith.
Let me stop you there for a moment here, because I'm writing a book and working on books I've been working on for 40 years about a cosmic civilization of which some of us are part of. I think there in my writing, my fiction. I write fiction. Mm-hmm. So in my fiction, these people 10,000 years ago were able to read minds. They had spacecraft that we call UFOs today, mm-hmm. and they've been around for a long time. We've been around for 100,000 years, and my characters actually remember their past lives, and with their advanced science, they were able to manipulate DNA so they could reproduce if they were accidentally killed.
Right.
Now, is that science fiction? Is that science fiction, or am I actually reaching into the Akashic records and remembering something that happened 10,000 years ago or 6,000 years ago? What's going on?
It is obvious. It is obvious that you are a very old soul. Okay, I can feel your energy. I can tell you right away that there is nothing fiction. In reality, the future is nothing else than the reincarnation of the past, which means you have to think about something and then you make it happen. We all have been made in the image of God, and clearly the Bible mentions, and I'm not a promoter of Christianity, but the Bible says I'll talk to you, you won't hear me. I present myself to you, you won't see me. So one has to raise his cosmic consciousness in order to see God in action or to see his own future. The fact of the matter is I have been myself since the tender age of 6 or 7 years old in direct contact with extraterrestrials. And what they are aiming for is for people that have not only a very, very powerful physical DNA, but a spiritual DNA, which I call UCI, or unique celestial identity. The extraterrestrials have learned that war does not answer anything, so they are not going to come here and kill us. That's one thing sure. And they are looking for the best of the best of their experiments to actually populate the endless vast universe. So we are part of an experiment that, and it is in their very big interest to make sure we do survive. So your fiction is not exactly fiction. As I perceive it, it is very real.
Now, how do you look into the future? And now people are getting a little bit discouraged. Would we report the news? Yes, they made moves. Yes, they've suspended Parsi comitatus. Yes, they can use the troops against us. Yes, they have. We spent $350 million refurbishing these civilian labor camps up on all the military bases. Yeah, all that's true. All that is happening. But all it would take is a shift of consciousness. Now the Bible has some very good information laid out to it. The Bible does talk about the mark of the beast, which is they're running commercials for now. George used to forget his medications, but now we got this little chip, this little microchip. And it tells him when to take his medicine, and it tells the doctor how much is in his bank account. And that's going to be for everybody. That's going to be for everybody next year, 2013, according to your health care bill.
Well, you have to remember, currently, one energy, which is called the tail of the dragon in my work, for the lack of word, is not a dragon. It's a constellation that is afflicting the United States 12th house, which regulates the subconscious area. And a year and a half ago in my book, I printed that America will not be able to, in some cases, to differentiate reality from fiction, and a form of dementia and extreme fear will plague the masses. And this is what's going on with all the prepper, or when things are exaggerated. This is where it might become a little bit difficult for some people who do not have cosmic consciousness or are set by their own UCI or their own unique celestial identity, not to tread on the archetypal realm of consciousness. There are reasons for everything. There are no accidents, Clay. And without cosmic consciousness, the only thing you have is imagination, science, conspiracy, and religion. And why those four elements have answers to offer, it is not cosmic conscious, which means imagination and fear will lead to the answer. And that's why you have the United States going through this totally dementic state of mind any time you turn the radio or the TV. What's happening is that unconsciously the masses are misusing the supra-conscious in time and space. Let me put it this way so that you understand me better. If you look who you are today, Clay, it's because you have had a set of thoughts that led you to become Clay and to be on the radio. You're already set by God, by the cosmic code, to be a messenger of the God and to deal with what you're doing, like me, or a pilot, or a president, or God knows what. We all have what you call our fate. But when I said to you earlier, and people hear me, but they don't acknowledge it, when I said the future is nothing else than the reincarnation of the thought, that means you have to be very, very careful of what you think, because sometime in the future you will face your thoughts, and this is a fact that you have to be conscious of. So by being constantly negative, by feeding evil endlessly, as I said, through the media, television, radio, all that you have is a evil feeding machine. And that brings a lot in our future, because humanity has not yet realized its potential for self-destruction, or avoid the karmic negative residue that we are constantly planting every single day. I actually went on YouTube, I posted one of my video. In this video, I explain a little bit of what I'm referring to now in 2 or 3 minutes. So I will send you the link so you can appreciate it a little bit better.
All right, sir. You know, what you're saying here is really striking a chord with me. Now, I've been reporting from the time we first met back at the Preparedness Expo. I've been reporting on everything, the whole tactics of the New World Order and what people are trying to do about it. And I came up with an answer, and it was basically called Liberty Villages. I asked myself, how did we live 1,000 years ago? How did we live 100 years ago? And the basis of all civilization is the self-sufficient family farm. What I did is I created in my mind a perfect environment. If you want to live someplace, you know, what's a perfect environment? and the self-sufficient family farm, according to Richard Kelly Hoskins, is the foundation of every civilization. And anytime a communist regime or communist style of government or fascist style of government, tyrannical style of government comes along, the first thing they do is go after 3 classes of people in order. They did it in the Soviet Union, they've done it in China, they've done it in Germany. They go after the farmers first, the intelligentsia next, and the soldiers and veterans and police officers that still remain loyal to the old regime. I think, it's my opinion, based on history, that that's the point we're at now. They're trying to demonize veterans. They're trying to make people fear their own soldiers, for God's sakes.
The fact of the matter is that you're right, starting out, but you also have to remember, Clay, life is a constant process of changes. We cannot stop the future, and this is what's going on. When back in 1995 on Art Bell Show on Coast to Coast, I predicted the re-election of President Clinton. Again, it's on YouTube. You can hear the show, the section of the show. And I prepared also Albert by saying, Albert, be ready for a religious war between the United States and the Middle East. And Albert just screamed, literally said, what? A religious war? And that was well before Osama bin Laden came in the picture. So when you look at it, conspiracies are very real. It's part of the, it's an intrinsic part of the human experience. I understand that. But as I said, when you have too much of something, you can only go with it. And the sad reality nowadays, if you could measure hope, faith, love, respect, law, happiness, joy, productivity, or fears, you know very well the balance will tick to the left, or to the fear principle. And this is what maintains that evil energy, which is like a cancer, slowly but surely consuming not only the United States, but everything else. And in reference that nothing is meant to last, when I predict that religious war, I also predict the implosion of the Middle East. And all these people nowadays have the technology to get a glimpse of what life in America or in Europe is all about, which is much better than what's going on over there. So when you look at it, if it wasn't for the technology, if it wasn't for the future taking place, there would not be death that allows a rebirth for the future to be equal for some people. But past all this, Clay, now that's where we're going to go into the archetypal realm of consciousness. This is where we're going to go into Dr. Turi's world. I'm sure you heard of the age of Pisces and the age of Aquarius.
Yes.
It takes 2,000 years for one age to die, the age of Pisces, which is a symbol chosen by Christianity, those two fishes, okay? The age of deception, illusion, confinement, church, synagogue, asylum, poison, pot, drinking, medication, dementia, confinement, jail, the age of construction or jailing the spirit into stupidity, or the fish swimming downstream into its own destruction. This age is now slowly being replaced by the age of Aquarius. But you have to remember, Pisces rules the Middle East. It was oil, poisoning the body, the physic with the oil fumes, and poisoning the spirit with the three major youngest religions born in the Middle East, the Christians, the Jew, and the Muslims were born in the Middle East, and so was Jesus. So the age of Pisces is dying, and with it, the area, geographically speaking, that created that evil of ignorance and manipulation. The new age of Aquarius started in 1945, when humanity was able, for the first time, to manipulate uranium and plutonium, Uranus, uranium, plutonium, Pluto. And this new age has helped humanity to make more discovery in 50 years than the last 2,000 years we spent in the age of deception, or the age of Pisces, or the age of religion. So we are moving into this technology. We are moving towards UFO. Humanity went to the moon. We created the internet. We are moving towards the year 2012, that golden door. We're moving into that energy which will free humanity, because they will understand more than what the government is trying to tell them, what religion or what science, our infantile science, cannot yet perceive. And this is with people like you and I, communicating and passing or putting the thought of that we are not doomed, that is what will turn things around in the long run. Because when you look at it, it's always, love and understanding and the blessing of understanding the cosmic code and how God speaks to us through the sign, that we will be able to stop the evil of ignorance and fears. Because that's what rules this world currently.
It's pretty interesting. You say in 1945, that's the year I was conceived. I was born on June 27th, 1946. And I've always felt that I was sent here, that I had work to do because of something that happened right then. And I ended up living 10 miles from where they blew up the first atomic bomb.
Exactly, but I have to remind you that you were born in the constellation of Gemini, even though that your sun sign may be in Taurus.
Cancer.
You were born in the constellation of Gemini. So, born in June, you were born like Art Bell, and you were born like George Norrie in June. And it's not an accident for you to be born in June and to end up on the radio. You were already set by the cosmic mind, by the universal mind, by God's will, to become a messenger of the God, and to talk and to pass on information and to babble in different sides so that you can understand.
People have told me, I've tried to tell people, look, God didn't stop talking to us 2,000 years ago. When they close the Bible, God still talks to us. I personally think he chooses to use the internet. I enjoy the 21st century. And frankly, I think I enjoy it a hell of a lot more than I did the first,
You bet. I mean, if you're like me, I was born in 1950. I'm 62 years old. I've been around like you. When I grew up, I didn't have TV, telephone, cell phone, or the internet. I had to adjust and adapt to it and do my own work. I'm also born with the hidden dragon in Gemini, like you. So we have the same energy, and the magnet don't attract a piece of wood. Okay, if you vibrate at a certain speed, you will attract the people that vibrate at your level to pass on the information that you've been enslaved by God to do. That's your mission. That's your job as a messenger of the God.
And what's happening right now, like on chat rooms and stuff like that, we've got all this negative energy coming there. Oh, Clay's a fake. Oh, Clay's Clay's this, Clay, and this is the enemy, and I don't think the people are even aware that they're doing it. I don't think they're aware that they're thinking they're Christians. We're Christians, and Clay's wrong about that marijuana being the plant of renown. He's wrong.
God.
He's wrong.
say 99.09% of the people walking this earth, Clay, are unconscious. They do not know they are robots of the stars. They do not know God and how He speaks to them because they did not raise themselves to the creation. God never came down and wrote no books. He made the stars. And that's why the first very words of the Bible clearly mention 3 wise men or 3 kings or 3 astrologers following the stars to the birth of Christ. But Jesus' ministry, like every single prophet anywhere in the world, all these ministries have been manipulated by the Illuminati. They do not want you to have cosmic consciousness. They do not want you to have the power. This is why on my website you could see the Pope being taught astrology by the Vatican Council.
Now let me ask you about something, Louis. And we got about 4 minutes left in this segment, and then I'm going to transition and record the second half, and we put this up on YouTube. And folks, if you go to freeamerican.com, you click on Louis's name, you can share the show with your friends. If you go there, and right under his name is a link to his site, so you can go there too. And I've kind of come up with my own cosmology. I never felt particularly comfortable in churches because I felt there was something wrong with them.
Well, guess what? The first time I went to church, I was about 8 to 9 years old, and when they opened those big doors and I saw for the first time in my life the body of a man bleeding on a cross, I just ran out. I was crying, I was kicking, I said, I don't want to go there. Nobody has ever told me or prepared me for what I was going to see. So that gave me a shock. And there is, and this is what, the Church Inc. use, fear, the instinct of preservation. If you don't do that, you're going to go to hell. If you talk to Dr. Turi, because he deals with the stars, you're going to go to hell. And guess what? You ain't going to go to hell. You're already on hell. And that is ignorance.
Louis, I wrote a poem about that 40 years ago.
Oh, my God.
I wrote it to Edgar Poe, and the character shows up is Lucifer. And he shows up at somebody's house and says, "Smokes in my mind's really quite fine, like nothing you've ever tried before. As I took a toke, no one spoke. The power of his presence cast a spell. Suddenly insane, like the leaf in a hurricane. From this plane we were torn. My gust I could see, steady and free. I cried, how can this be? He said, you can be free. You can escape the winds of destiny. You can be a leaf no more." And as he turned to go, someone cried, "God, stay, I pray, show us the way, so in hell our souls won't burn." And my guest, the guest said, your God doesn't care. Yet still my burden he doesn't share. Yet still of me you say beware. Of hell you shouldn't care. You can't go, 'cause you are there. And you stay till you pay. You stay is men, not more.
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you. Let me put this. This is so genius-like. But let me put it this way. Maybe you'll understand me better. Or other people, or your listeners would understand me better. Life is made into fours. Okay. You have 2 eyes, 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 feet, 2 sides of the brain. Without a yin, you have no yang. Without a male, no female. Without a front, with no back. Without a God, no devil. So when you are ignorant, when you're fearful, when you are evil, like when you're really guilty, you are the devil. You are, and then you grow up with experience, and you refine yourself into a higher vibration, and you become God. So humans are both God and evil in one.